Welcome to the next episode of the CAPB Podcast. I am delighted to welcome our next guest, which is Tom Newey from Challenge Coins. How are you, Tom?
Good, mate. Thank you. Good.
Thank you so much for taking the time out from running a very, very, very successful business to spend some time with us on the podcast.
No worries, man.
Yeah, it's just mega to have you here, mate. And we're excited to hear about your journey from serving to where you are now running the business.
Yeah, nice one. It's always good to have a chance to sort of speak about it, and everyone loves to get an opportunity to talk about themselves, don't they? So let's do it.
100%.
So, Tom, we'll start right at the beginning, mate.
Yeah.
Tell us about your military career.
Well, I always wanted to join the military in one way or another. Pick my GCSEs, my A-levels with a view of going into the forces. That was all I ever wanted to do. And I wanted to be a pilot. When I was ready to join the army, I was a little bit young for going to Sandhurst. I think I was only 17. So I applied to go in the ranks, get a trade, become an aircraft technician in the REME. And then I knew I would be in the right world to then apply to be an SNCO pilot. So it was all sort of planned out what would happen. So went and did all my tech training, joined in 2010, went to Arborfield, passed out from there, went to Wattisham. And then you do what's called a UT program. So basically like an apprentice, you can't really sign for any work on the aircraft, that someone's watching you or showing you things, how it works in the real world. And I got called into the office one day there and they said, Newey, you're going to Afghan in January and we're going to finish your training quick and you're going to go. I'm like, mega, that's literally what you want to hear. So I signed, they rushed me through my UT program and I signed for my first live aircraft work on the Pan at Bastion in 2013, which was mega. It kind of meant that, whilst I was out there, I knew very little, which sort of had created some low points. But then at the same time, it meant that when I came back, someone said to me, "Oh, Newey, when you're going on your class ones?" And that's like something that should be 2 years down the line. And I'd only been a tech for like 5 months properly. In the background, I had applied to be a pilot, and everything was going quite well with that. So I'd passed the aptitude test, went down to Cranwell to do that, had passed the medical, and then went on to do Army flying grading at Wallop. Passed that, and they sort of said I'd done quite well. We're looking forward to seeing how I went on and all this sort of thing. Had my interview, and they were like, "Yep, great, we're happy." So that's me literally that close to sort of living the dream. That's it, everything had panned itself out. Booked out of Wattisham, literally said goodbye to everyone, had a farewell and all that. And then I remember I was actually at Waterloo Battlefield of all places. And I was on my way home and I got a phone call, no caller ID, classic military, like, oh my God, what have I done? And it was someone from Wallop saying, "We've had a look at your medical and we've got a problem. You had, it's got asthma on your record." And I said, "Well, I thought you could be 4 years clear of asthma and apply." Because that's what I thought all the promotional sort of posters said. 4 years clear of asthma and hay fever and you were all good. And this is like when I was 6, 7 years old, the wheeze was on my medical record. And they literally just said no and just fucked me off.
It's absolutely crazy.
I felt so seen off and really, really bitter about it. And I remember when I was at home after that, because I had like 3 weeks, I'd booked out of Wattisham. I had 3 weeks off before I started my Army pilot's course. And I went at home, I was sat there and I said to my dad, like, I think I was this was 2015, so I was 24. I said, I'm 24 years old. Like, this is all I wanted to do. There is no real backup plan. I've got a lot of time left. Like, now what am I going to do? Like, there was no
no plan B.
Nothing. I didn't really want to work on aircraft. I only joined so that I had a trade just in case anything went wrong. But, why would I want to work on Apaches looking at people that are flying them every day? That was the worst part of my career. I'd signed off, didn't want to sign off. I remember I was nearly in tears on the way back from HQ after I pushed the button, because I only ever wanted to be, in the forces. I was all in for it. And then I just thought the other option is give the coin thing a go, because I'd made a bit of money, and I thought there was something in that. So I thought, well, yeah, let's go for it.
So where did the idea come from, Tom, for the actual making of the coins? Have you always sort of done stuff like that, or is it kind of like you stumbled across an archaic, I don't know, money press and went, I can make something out of this? And
you know what?
just like that.
Probably the most chance set of events ever, from in my life, led to it just changing course completely. So we used to do in with Apaches, we used to do Crimson Eagle, which was like 2.5 months in at El Centro, Southern California. Absolutely mega exercise. Everyone used to love it. You're about an hour and a half away, or within 2 hours of San Diego. It was awesome, and it was where the Blue Angels used to train for their winter. So they'd be up like 2 or 3 times a day, practicing their routines, and then they go back off to Florida later on. And 2 of their techs came into the hangar wanting to have a look around the Apache. And because people knew that I was like a bit of a spotter, I was into aircraft. I was taking pictures of aircraft whilst I was out there. And, they said to me, "Oh, Newey, some lads want showing around the aircraft, get out there," sort of thing. Because they knew it was I was into the Blue Angels. I'd enjoy having a chat with them and that. So you kind of just show them around, show them the cockpits, tell them some cool stuff about the aircraft. And when we'd gone all the way around, we came back, and the guy goes, "Have you got anything to swap for this?" Classic coin comes out of the pocket. And I was like, "No, I haven't at all." But I said, we were working like 24-hour shifts. So you start at midday, work till the work's done, come back in early, flight service, everything, and finish at 12. So you're working half a day every day for the whole time you're there. I was like, "I'm back in tomorrow at whatever time it was. Come back and I'll bring some patches."
Rations or something.
Well, I had some patches, some spare patches off for the PCS. And I also had, the Pedro runs I used to do at Bastion.
Yeah.
I think I had one of them T-shirts as well. So and he came back. And he gave me the coin, and I gave him these patches and a T-shirt, and he was dead happy. And I looked at it, and it was this, it was a Blue Angels coin, the enamels, and, you feel like the weight of something metallic in your hand. And I was like, never seen anything like this before. This is mega, and I felt that I'd seen him off. He's given me something that's crafted metal, and I've given him some shitty patches off my PCS, So I was like, I need to do something. Like I've always been one to sort of try and make a bit of money on the side, buy stuff, sell stuff. Not like Del Boy, but I've got quite a few interests, and I know what's worth what in those worlds. So I've always been into that. And I was like, something in this. So I designed. I found out what they were called. I didn't even know it was called a challenge coin. So I just Googled, like custom coins US or something like that, and found a supplier whilst I was out there. Designed a generic Apache coin, and I was really careful not to sort of put the REMI on it or anything like that, so that everyone on that deck could have it. Pilots, RLC, chefs, AGC, everyone that was out there could have that coin. Put the little print ups on the walls and said, if you want one, let me know. And I think I had about 180 pre-orders. So I got 300 made to get the next price point. And I had, when they arrived, I remember literally I opened them up on the shop floor, away from everyone. No, I didn't tell anyone that I'd got them. And my hands were shaking, because I'd sunk like over $1,000 into them. And I opened them up and I looked at it and I was like, fuck me, that is mega. And I knew I was onto something, like, not for like business, because I still thought I was going to be a pilot. I'd only just passed aptitude at that point. Anyway, I had people queuing up at my door. I had people finding me on the shop floor. Got through the first 300 in 2 weeks, selling them at $5 each.
So, Tom, like with the design of the first coin, did you draw it out, or did you CAD draw it, or did you pen and pencil sketch it out?
No, do you know what? I know I did it in my room, because we were staying in hotels in El Centro, and I remember sort of going back and two with the company. Who don't exist anymore, strangely. So all the molds from those first orders are gone. Like I could literally never strike that coin again, which is kind of like cool and not cool at the same time. And yeah, so I just told them an idea. What, Union flag on the front, this is my text. I want an Apache, and I can't remember how I did it. I probably would have sent them reference images of Apaches and stuff and told them what I want. And so, yeah. And that's how, when they got it right, I was like, yeah, good to go. And that was it.
And then you thought, what's next?
Well, what happened was I ordered another 300 and I shifted another 100 in whilst I was out there. Got back to Wattisham and then started selling them for £5 instead of $5. Still going. And then after all my pilot's course things had gone wrong, I did another Crimson. So I had another 300 made and took them out there. And I used to go down the flight line because it was like AV-8s, like, the US Marine Corps Harriers and Hornets and things like that in. And I used to go down the flight line when we were quiet with a bag of coins and go into their crew rooms and go, hey guys, I'm a Brit. I've got coins. They're $5. Do you want to buy one? And I shifted another 300. I'd go down there with a bag of coins and I'd come back with a load of dollars and everyone was just looking at me like, you fucking mad. Like, what? How are you doing this? But on the second Crimson that I did, in that, so that was like September, but in the summer of that year, do you remember the Vulcan? The sort of delta shaped bomber?
Yeah.
So that was in its final display season in 2025, and I'd got in touch with them and said, look, there's something in these coins. I'm doing quite well, with them. And I remember I'd requested permission basically to do the coins via them, and they would license it. And he said, what's the price on these? Are you happy with £10 each? We'll sort the boxes. And I was like, yeah, sure. He went, how many? I was like, how many do you want? And he went, 2,000. I was like, okay. Got a purchase order through. Had to Google what purchase order meant. Like, do you know what I mean? So he sends me a purchase order for 20 grand. We make 2,000 coins, ship them in, don't even have to make the boxes. They were selling them for 25 quid each. Gone. They ordered another 1,000, gone. They ordered another 500, right? So whilst I was on that Crimson, 35 grand dropped onto my account, which was more than I was earning as a full screw. And I was like, fuck it. That deal was what gave me the bit of money in the bank to go off and be able to pay rent with my missus, in Epsom, which was like £1,000 a month, and have a go at doing the coins. Because once I'd paid tax and everything like that on it, there was about, I think I left the army and there was like 19 left in the business account, and I then had a bit of headroom to give it a go. If I hadn't have had that sort of massive, chunk of money come in, I don't know if I'd have been able to have how I would have done it. So
it's mad, Tom, right? It's mad because just thinking there, when that guy said thanks but no thanks and hung up,
yeah,
you could have easy done nothing with that and gone, well, that's it then. This ain't going to work. I'm just going to go and get a normal job, or I'm going to do this. But you sent him for nothing with no guarantee of anything, the designs, thinking I'm going to see.
I just said, well, here's my design. I'd like to license it off you. I'll give you a cut, but I'm going to do it on my own, even if you don't want to, as long as I could get his permission. And then that's when they saw it and were like, yeah, we made a mistake. And again, quite fortunate timing and feeling a bit lucky with that. But it literally, the money that was left over, that gave me the opportunity to not have to worry about going and getting a 9-to-5 and just giving it a go.
I remember when you left, Tom, as I say, like, I've known you for years. I say I was on that tour with you in Afghanistan. I remember putting an order in for you for coins, and you were in your relative infancy working off your in-law. You were living with your in-laws at the time.
That's right.
You're working off their kitchen table, and it's like, to take the risk. You served for 6 years. I think your wife was either at uni or studying or something.
Just finishing as I was on my way out of the army, yeah.
So you had no guarantee income. You had no pension to fall back on, but you went, the risk. We're gonna do this, and I think it's incredible and brave, mate. I think it's hugely brave.
Yeah, I had to give it a go because someone said to me, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I hadn't heard it up until this person said, "You'd never be a millionaire working for someone else," and I was like, shit, you're right. And that was it. As soon as I heard that, I was like, you're right. I have to give this a go. If it falls flat on its face, so be it.
So,
But I had to give it a go.
what year was that, Tom?
So I left the army in 2016.
So fast forward now, what, 8 years, 2024.
Yeah.
What lessons have you learned from that initial, okay, that decision where you go, I've now got the headroom, fuck it, I'm going to do it?
Yeah.
What lessons have you learned from there to now? I would imagine there's not many things that pop up now that you go, oh shit, what am I doing here? It'd be interested to understand what lessons you've learned from your nearly a decade in your business,
Yeah.
and whether your military skill set or the skill set that you've learned has helped that in some way.
I think by being in the military, without realizing it, you're already getting set up to either run a business or to do something else. And it's stuff that puts you ahead without even realizing it. Things like we mentioned it before we came on about being on time, being respectful. There's a way to talk to people. Like if you're, obviously I was just a full screw. So you have to learn how to speak to officers. You don't realize you're getting set up for it. By being in the forces, you are absolutely already ahead of it. And it's like, people put in an inquiry to us and we will turn that around within 24 hours. If you ask me how, on 100 coins, within 24 hours, you'll know how much it's going to cost and how long it's going to take. And people forever, we're hearing, thank you for coming back to us so quickly, or I've been trying to get hold of another coin company for 3 months and blah, blah, blah. And it's literally just you've been asked to do something, so do it. And it's basic customer service, but it's because in the forces, if someone asks you to do it, you do it. And you do it as quickly as you can and to the best of your ability and all that sort of thing. So the lessons I've learned, it's as you're going along, it's a gradual thing. I think, it's so important to set up processes as soon as you can, but also to have like rules. So, when I started off, everything we do is bespoke. So, if it's got your football club on it or your podcast details on it or whatever, then if I say to you, yeah, that's great, here's your artwork, which we don't charge for, by the way, because I think it's my job to show you how good this can look. And then you'll want to buy it and put in a decent order. So I don't charge for artwork. So then when we get to it being signed off, the rule that I set myself was I'm going to get the payment up front. As awkward as it feels, that's what we're going to do. And people get a bit funny about that, and I didn't feel really confident about saying it. But the one time in the first year that I deviated from that, I got fucked over. So my brother started up his own business doing graphic design, and I said the same thing to him: set your rules, and your red lines and all that sort of thing, because it stops you from getting messed about.
Really. I hear that a bit, mate, and I hear you see a lot of it from smaller business who they'll do business with a bigger organisation. The bigger organisation say no problems. It'll take us 10 weeks to pay you.
Yeah,
and it's like how can I provide a service for you where I'm paying a mortgage and childcare and living, and you expect me to wait 10 weeks?
Yeah, and
it's a crazy one.
The bigger the organisation, normally the harder it is, because they're just such a big beast that sometimes it can be a real pain. But we work now a lot with businesses where they send us a purchase order. So when you get that purchase order, that's your warm fuzzy feeling that you're going to get paid. Now, obviously now that's great because we just have a list of purchase orders of what we're owed. And as long as we can keep that to a decent level, the funnel's nice and full and it's coming in plus your day to day. But we did actually have one where we got a purchase order, sent the coins in. It was for a company that make like diving equipment. And couldn't get hold of anyone. And this is a big company. And it took a long time to get paid for that. We were so close to going to next steps on that. And that would be the only time I've ever had to do it.
With regards to your customers, I guess that when you started, the majority of customers were military.
Yeah. I would say 95% when I started, yeah.
we're military. We're the military units. We've got a logo. We're running a competition. We're doing a presentation. And I mean, now I guess that's very different. Now I saw recently,
45%.
which is mad. And I saw recently, I've seen a couple of huge things. I saw on your website or on one of your social medias, like the King's Coronation. I saw you smashing out coins for that, just for just a little royal family client. And I saw you do some coins for like Parliament and Downing Street. And it was just, you know what I mean? How do you go from making coins for Matt Spruce, who wanted a football competition coin made, to the royal family? Do you know what I mean? It's madness, mate.
Yeah, and you know the cool part of it is, you know, the stuff that we post online, you know, that's the stuff that is postable. There's so much going on that can't even see, you know, social or LinkedIn or nothing. And that's unfortunately the most interesting bit. But how it's progressed, and this is something I said sort of early on, is it was like 95% military. But by, you know, again, going back to the sort of the military values, by doing a good job, by being able to talk to people. You know, if someone phones me up here, I had it not too long ago, and they were talking about their military. They said they were the Anglian. I said, oh, 1 or 2, you know, and then he was like, oh, I'm 1. And I said, oh, we've done loads of coins for them. He said, oh, well, I was seconded to the Army Air Corps for a bit, and I had something to do with an exercise called Crimson Eagle. Start talking to him about that, and it turns out he's got one of my first ever coins on his desk. Yeah, mad. And now he's in the now he's like a teacher. He's left the army. He's a teacher, and he has runs a CCF at like a private school or something like that. But because of being able to talk to people and have that interest in what's being said, it then led to he's never going anywhere else once he realised he's met me, and we've been in the army together, and he's got one of those coins. So, you know, that was one of the, you know, the main things about just being interested, and it grows that way. But also right at the start, I said, when people start leaving the armed forces, and they, you know, especially, you know, officers that going on to sort of, you know, people are going on KPMG and JP Morgan, and, you know, that sort of, you know, they're going on to those sort of relatively high level jobs. They're going to turn around to their mates and say, you know, when we were in the army, we had these cool things called coins, you know, challenge coins, you know, and that's what's happening, you know. And he's a perfect example. He was in the army. He's had one of my coins. He's gone to a CCF and said, hey, we had this when I was in. We should do this as well. And you're finding that that's happening a lot. So, you know, the corporate sector for us now is massive. And they've got the budgets, you know, they're not pissing about like the forces are, saying, oh, can we have 2 invoices because we need to use some COPF and we're not allowed to use this money for coins anymore. And, you know, and that's why it's growing.
It's like the power of the network, isn't it? It's the power of the network.
Yeah. And yes, it is. And, you know, people say, someone asked me just this week, you know, how did COVID affect your business? And I was like, I didn't really post very much about it at the time, but COVID is actually what made this business just explode, because I was still running it out of my house here. And, you know, people were told no one's getting a medal, because everyone would have thought they were due one, right? You know, 60 million medals. Then no one's got any money left to do any pay rises. So spending £5 to £8 per head on staff as COVID looked like it was coming to an end actually was quite an attractive thing for people to do. So, you know, we got a couple of 10,000 plus orders out of COVID, and some 4,000 or 5,000 ones as well, where organizations literally gave a coin in a box and a little note from top corridor saying, I know it's been difficult. We appreciate your efforts. Here's a small token because we can't really do much more. There you go. And that then spreads, you know, and it, honestly, COVID, so lucky.
Tom, do you keep any of what I mean, like because you've done, I'd imagine, quite a fair few amount of different designs of coins.
Yeah.
So do you keep one of each? And
yes.
Do you still have your first coin?
So, yes, I do keep one of each. Even if the customer's it's got a numbered coin, I still have one that's blank. And there's 2 reasons for that. 1, because I like to have one of everything I've done. But 2, just in case we spot a blemish, because these are, hand filled. Just in case we spot something, at least we've got a one spare, and we can get that engraved and send that, quick change. No one's sort of waiting around for too long. The first coin I ever did is sat on my desk in front of me every day. I've got 2 more at home out of the 900 that I had produced. And on my desk next to that is probably the coolest coin I've done. That obviously I can't really fucking say anything about, but it's like just shows you where it's come from, and I just I love that.
I remember you doing a coin for me when I was, again, the detail of which we'll keep blank, but I remember thinking, I've got an idea here and this might work. And I remember I've still got the photos on my phone, and I literally drew, like, I think it needs to look a bit like that. Yeah. And I sent it to you and was like, what do you think? And you went, oh, I've got an idea. And you sent it back to me like the next day or 2 days later. And then I went straight into the top corner of that place saying, what do you think about this?
Yeah. And you know what, we are in there now, supplying the PRI shop, and I managed to go straight to source, because what they were doing, they were coming from the factory to the customer direct. So that meant it had all the details of where it's coming from. Whereas everything of mine comes straight to me. We quickly check them, make sure that there's nothing massively wrong with them, and then they go back out in a clean box. So, that's, to me, that's basics, because it's just you're covering yourself. No one knows where it's come from.
It made me laugh. 2 seconds, I'll show you something. It made me laugh. Like, I did some work for an organisation, right, in the military. Ran like an introduction stuff, and I got through the post. I got like a coin, and it's one of yours.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
exactly. And when it came through in the post, he said it's from the commanding officer's coin from 225 Scottish Medical Regiment. Yeah, and when it came through the post, I was like, I recognise this.
Yeah. It's funny, people recognise the style of them, because someone said to me, you've got a problem in the fact that no one knows where it's come from. And they're right. And someone said to me, oh, you should engrave your company details on the side of it or something like that. And I refused to do that, because that cheapens their product, me forcing my name onto it. And there's sometimes if you get some SF-based coins, you might see a little logo on the side of it. And I know that sometimes winds people up because it's trying to shoehorn your stuff onto someone else's, which I just won't do that. But people can definitely tell a coin that's come from us to the point where literally, someone that's ordered coins from me set their own company up to do coins, and they literally have sat there on the Adobe Illustrator and gone through until they found the font that matched. You're talking like thousands of fonts. So it looks right. So it looks like one of ours, and that's probably my biggest problem at the moment now, but it's one of those things, isn't it? That's business.
Being first in the market and delivering a quality service, like you said, mate. You know what I mean?
We weren't first. So I didn't know this. This is really poor market research on my behalf, and it's a good job, actually. When I started it up, I started the first company called Club Coins UK. That was my first company, because I thought that not just the military, that anyone, a bowls club, tennis club, car club, anyone could have a coin done, which is why I called it Club Coins UK. And I didn't realise there was another company already literally making challenge coins and already smashing it. But I looked at what they were doing and thought, okay, well, I found out too late now. I've got to go for it anyway. And rather than undercut them like everyone does to me, I actually went above their pricing, more expensive, because I felt my stuff was better. They looked better, they were thicker, the design was more sort of, there was more care across the board in it. So rather than undercut them, I said, well, yes, you're going to pay more, but it's going to be better. It's right from the start. And when people used to question it, I said, I make no apologies for that. You can go and pay 50p less, but the quality is not there. So it's kind of your choice. And I don't get involved in a race to the bottom. Definitely not.
Yeah. I've got a couple of questions, and then I guess we'll look at wrapping up the pod. And I guess the 2 questions I've got, and I don't know if Paul's got any questions, but first of all is, how many have you made from the start?
So, do you know what I thought about this week? We're doing about 200,000 coins a year, as in actual physical units. So that's 1,000 invoices or whatever. But
Yeah.
so last financial year we did 200,000 coins. Probably something similar the year before. So we're probably well over 500,000, maybe on towards 600,000-700,000 coins. Which, do you know what? Like, I am literally waiting for the day I ever see one in a regimental museum somewhere, or fucking in 100 years' time, hopefully, Antiques Roadshow is still a thing, and someone will be showing their dad's collection of stuff from their army collection, and there'll be coins, and they'll be like, and this is from Challenge Coins UK, a well-known supplier at the time, and you can tell that because it's got the black outer bands and all this. You never know. Hopefully, but that's probably where we're at. Probably getting on for 750,000 coins, I reckon.
That's mad. And to make 750,000 anything is phenomenal, mate. And that just shows how consistent and how quality the work is. And I guess my last question is, like, have you got a favourite? Like an absolute favourite where you just think every bit of that, or is it your first one? Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? I look at my first one now and go, fucking hell, I wouldn't have done it like that. Because I've done it in an American style. It's polished silver. Everything we do is virtually antique because it tones it all down. It's more British. The Americans like them to be all shiny and in your face. And the first one is special. My favorite, it's normally what leads to it. We do so many designs that look decent, in my opinion, that it's hard to pick one where you think, yeah, that's my favorite coin. But some of the stuff that we've done and the stories that go with it, you just have to sort of pinch yourself sometimes that it's actually happening. And like you say, we've done everything from the Prime Minister's close protection team, through to Amazon and virtually anything you could think of. We're potentially, got an order going in for some strip clubs soon. Go figure that. It's just literally like you. I've been offered to be paid in crypto. Everything. You just can't even believe.
So your story, mate, is like it's mental. It makes me chuckle, a proper chuckle. I want to kind of. This is your time now. The last part of the pod is we have a thing called the elevator pitch where we say, right, this is your time now, Tom, to go. So why choose Challenge Coins, and what can you offer that no one else can offer? So if you take this time just to kind of sell yourself, but not in that kind of way, if that makes sense.
I mean, the Challenge Coins, as a thing, it's 2024. You can't be giving certificates out now, and with a facsimile signature on it. That's garbage. I see things on Instagram. You got like a 1-star giving out a frame with a little certificate in it, to someone as like a commendation. That's cack. It's rubbish. So I think the coin really is a modern way to recognize something significant. We're very good at agging people in the armed forces. We're not actually very good at saying, actually, fucking good effort there. We can't promote you on the spot. We're not going to give you any more money, but we can notice that you're doing something, and then obviously for civilian organizations, a lot of things we're doing now is long service. It's 2024, carriage clocks and paperweights is not a thing now. So a coin in a box with your name engraved on the edge of it that says thanks for 25 years service. That's the sort of thing that we're doing. When it comes to Challenge Coins UK as a company, we've been going since 2017. I've not had to issue a refund. We've just got all of that experience, the knowledge, and I absolutely love it. And if the person that's running the show absolutely loves what's happening, then you get the quality service, the quality product. And if it isn't, it gets sorted very, very quickly because I care enough about it to make sure it is. But I think our reputation speaks for itself now, really.
Tom, I think that's brilliant, mate. I think it's fair. I think it's an absolute fair to say about your reputation because It's little things like you're not like thrashing the marketing on social media because you don't need to, because people are coming to you with repeat customers. People are sharing it just through that. It comes with a level of quality. It comes with a level of credibility, and to produce nearly 750,000 coins, to be in business for 7 years and had probably tens of thousands of customers, and to not have to issue a refund.
Yeah, because
Holy mate, that's immense.
Yeah, I know, and it's because when something, do you know what? One of the things in business is when things go tits, that's actually really useful, because it's how you deal with that situation, and when, say, we've had one this not too long ago, complete misunderstanding where the factory have engraved them wrong. It was a set of spoof coins, and instead of it being set 1, set 2, set 3, they've put 1, 2, 3 on every single set. It's obviously no good to anybody. So all I say to the guy is, no worries. I've already instructed them to be remade, and if I have to pay for them again, so be it. But normally my factory, because we've worked with them for so long, they'll just go, really sorry, and they'll remake them. We'll get it done as fast as possible. Send those ones back and we'll get them shredded. Done. And by the way, we'll cover your postage. So, although we could say, oh, well, you signed your proof off. We've had it where people have spelt their own name wrong on obviously I've done it, or James, one of my designer's done it, but it's their bag, my terms and conditions, watertight. You check it and then pay for it, and you're accepting that's correct. Even when people have spelt things incorrectly, I can't say to someone, pay your invoice again. So we work something out, and I think that's how those situations are the ones where you learn the most about how to deal with things and deal with people to ensure that the reputation stays intact, because one balls up and not dealing with it correctly can have everything in tatters really quickly.
Tom, mate, that's gold dust right there. Look after your customers. Tom, thank you so much for giving your time up for the podcast. We can't wait to share it. Some of the stories, some of the things you just said there about how you went from essentially being let down in the military to now being a thriving business supporting so many people. I think it's a testament to you, mate, and it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, mate. And I can safely say, I wouldn't change it now. If they said to me, you've got a place on an army pilot's course, you start on Monday, whereas up for a few years I'd have been like, yeah, fuck this shit off, I'm going. Now it's like, don't think I can do it now. And I'm content with where I'm at now. And it took a while, but here we are for it.
Amazing, mate. Thanks so much, Tom.
It's much appreciated, buddy.
No worries.